But to give you an idea, these two batteries here weigh as much as I do. G'day guys, hope you're all having a good day. Just let my tea brew. I thought I might quickly show you something as a bit of a follow-up to the last video. If you didn't see that, I'll put a little card up so you can click on that and watch it. But in the last video I was talking about insulation, and I used this little gadget to show you the difference in temperature between a window and an insulated wall. So if you're interested in that, go back and check it out. But when I made that video, unfortunately when I did the demonstration, it was a bit later in the day and the sun had gone down and wasn't quite as hot, so it wasn't as drastic a difference. I thought I might just show you quickly, since my front windscreen at the moment is like baking in the sun, just show you what sort of temperature difference there is in the daytime when the sun's out in full force. So I won't actually go into the front cab because it's steaming in there, it's so freaking hot. I'm just going to stay here, but I'll show you on this little device. I'll just put it into Celsius first. So this is aimed at the windscreen, and as you can see it's like 55 degrees Celsius, which if you put it into Fahrenheit, it's 131 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the windscreen at the moment in the sun. It was actually higher than that before. It was 60 degrees Celsius. Which was 140 odd Fahrenheit, but it's cooled down just a little bit. These curtains actually act as a really good heat barrier because there's the air gap inside there. The sort of cab itself acts as a bit of an air gap. You have the windscreen, and that's super hot, and then the cab area gets pretty hot, but then having this just creates a barrier. And then also the heat, you can actually feel it. The heat comes up over the curtains a little bit, but when I've got the exhaust fan on, it just sucks the heat right up there, so it doesn't actually affect this living space. Just to give you an idea of the ambient temperature in here at the moment, it's about 27 degrees Celsius, which in Fahrenheit's 81, so it's a little bit warm, but it's totally manageable. I'm fine with that. For today's video, I'm thinking we might talk about batteries and battery banks, and I'll let you guys know all the things that I think you should know about that stuff going into van life. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there who are not technically minded and this sort of stuff confuses them. That's why I share these videos. I'm trying to help out people who might not be able to find that information themselves. A lot of people get down on the fact that they're not technically minded, and I always just say to people, you know, that's fine. Like, just because you're not good at one particular thing doesn't mean you don't have value in other aspects of life, you know. I find that everyone has some kind of value to give, and yeah, I guess the whole technical thing just came fairly naturally to me. It's just how my mind works. I'm actually thinking about doing some slightly different type of content as well in the future, so let me know what you guys think, but I would maybe like to do some more day in the life slash adventure slash vlog type stuff. It all comes down to the fact that I like to make the sort of videos that I like to watch, and when I first got into van life, I like to watch videos about other people's vans and their setups and things like that. I like to watch van tours and tip videos and all that kind of stuff, and all the technical stuff, because I was building a van, so for me that was important at the time. But now that I've already got a van and I've already built everything, I find that I tend to like watching more of these channels where people have, I guess it's like a vlog sort of thing, where you get to see a little bit into their lives, you get to know their personalities and see the adventures and stuff that they go on. So I thought I might do some more stuff like that in the future. Again, let me know what you guys think, but it'll still be a mix. I'll still be doing the tip videos and mixing it in with some kind of, I don't know, just daily stuff, just what it's like to live in a van, I suppose, and the sorts of things that I get up to in my life. Yeah, so anyway, let's get into today's video. When it comes to setting up a battery system or a battery bank in a van or a motorhome or anything like that, whatever you're setting it up in, there's a few things that I would want to know about going into it, and that would be the type of battery that you're going to use, the type of charger that you'll need for that battery, whether or not you need to vent the batteries, so whether you need to keep them inside or outside or set up some kind of sealed container for them, different brands of battery, and also how to secure the batteries, because they are quite heavy and you should secure them properly. There are quite a few different types of battery and different categories, and it can get a little bit confusing, but just to simplify it for you, you've got starter batteries and deep cycle batteries, and then you've got combination starter and deep cycle batteries. Now, obviously, if you're replacing the starter battery in your vehicle, then you want to replace it with a starter type battery. If you are using it just for the house batteries, then you want to go for deep cycle batteries. If you have a smaller van and you're using it as a starter and for the house battery, then you might use a combination starter and deep cycle. But generally, you either want to go with a starter or a deep cycle. Now, my house batteries are deep cycles, and then I obviously have a starter battery separate to start the van. Within those categories, you also have different types, different chemical makeups in the batteries, and the most common of those would be like a flooded lead acid battery. That's your run-of-the-mill battery that you would get at most auto stores, and that's what most people's starter batteries are. Then you have gel batteries, and instead of being essentially water inside there's a gel. They're not that common anymore. They've kind of been replaced by AGM batteries. I think they use them a little bit in boating, but I really don't hear much about gel batteries anymore. AGM stands for absorbed glass matte, and it's kind of like a lead acid battery except without the flooded cells, so there's no liquid, which makes for less maintenance and other things which I'll go into in a sec. And then the most advanced out of all of them, and also the most expensive, is the lithium batteries. Now, they're kind of the newest technology, the most advanced, and like I said, they are the most expensive, but they also have some really good advantages. The flooded lead acid batteries are the cheapest and easiest to acquire. They're the most common, they're all over the place, and you could build a pretty decent sized battery bank out of those for not much money. The downsides: they require more maintenance. You have to make sure that all the cells are topped up with distilled water, and you can't let them go dry. If they go dry, it will damage the batteries. Now, the other downside to those batteries is they give off gas. They give off hydrogen gas. What that means, if you are making a battery bank with those batteries, you have to either mount them under the vehicle or outside, somewhere where you're getting airflow, or if you are going to have them inside the van, they're going to have to be in a sealed container with a vent to the outside. And if you don't do that, it can create some problems. I've seen it before. I worked at a motorhome rental company a while back. We had a couple of customers call up and complain, saying that there was like crazy fumes and gas spurting out into the van, and I think what had happened is one of the chargers had failed and started to overcharge one of the batteries, and then the battery failed and started gassing into the van. And not only does it stink, but it's not good for you. So this guy had to bring the van back early, and yeah, I had to fix the charger and replace the battery and stuff. I'm getting thirsty. I got a total of 3 house batteries in my van, and also a starter battery. My starter battery is just a standard flooded lead acid battery, but that's okay. It's vented and it's in the factory spot. My house batteries are AGM batteries, and I personally think the AGM is the best option for most people out there, because it's cheaper than your lithium batteries, but it's more advanced than your flooded lead acid batteries, and you don't have the problem of having to top up fluids and things like that. There's no maintenance, and they also don't gas. That was the big thing when I was making my van, because I didn't want to mount them outside, or I didn't want to cut holes to vent the gases or create a sealed chamber. I just wanted to put the batteries inside. That's why I chose the AGM. And if you haven't seen my electrical video, I'll throw a link up and you can watch that one. That goes into the whole electrical system, and it also shows you where I store all the electrical stuff. But I'll show you now anyway. This is where my batteries are stored. I've lifted the mattress up so you can see it's underneath the bed, and I've created a little box in there with all the electrical stuff. I have pulled one of the batteries out. This one here is a combination starter and deep cycle. It's a 55 amp hour AGM that a friend gave to me, and I just added this onto the system with an Anderson plug. But I also did it that way so that if I need to jump start a vehicle or something, I can just pull the battery out, and it's quite small and portable. I can also use it if I need portable power for anything else. I can just hook it up to that. These are my two main batteries. They are 120 amp hours each. I've got two of them, and they're Full River, the brand Full River, and they're just deep cycle AGMs. They are extremely heavy, and they're really good quality, and they've been great for me. So normally I would put the other battery in this corner down here, and I would just plug it in, and that gives me a total of 295 amp hours. Lithium batteries are going to be the most advanced batteries that you can get. They do offer some advantages. They're way lighter for the amount of power that you get, and you can also drain them further without damaging them. Most lead acid or AGM batteries, you're not really going to want to drain past about 50%, because beyond that you do start to damage the battery, particularly if you keep doing that. But lithium, you can drain considerably more, I think sometimes up to 90%, without damaging the batteries. So they're lighter, and you can use more of the power. You can drain them further without damaging them. But the downsides is they're super expensive. That's the reason I didn't get lithium. They're way too expensive. They would have cost me probably 3 or 4 times the amount for the same amp hours. The technology is still kind of new when it comes to camper vans, so I guess wait a few years and eventually the price might come down and make it a bit more realistic. But they might be the perfect option for you. It depends. You know, maybe money's not such a problem. Maybe you want to save the weight or space. They can also be smaller for the power. You might need a special charger for lithium batteries, depending on what your setup is like. They might not work with the charger or the isolator or whatever that you're currently using. So that's another thing to bear in mind. And that actually takes me into the next point I was going to make, is knowing what kind of charger you need. A lot of people out there, they just get a standard battery isolator, which is just a little switch that goes in between your starter battery and your house batteries, and it just makes sure that your house batteries don't drain your starter battery, essentially. So it means that if you've got a fridge running off it, for example, and it drains your house batteries, it's not going to keep taking power from the starter battery. So that's the simplest, cheapest way to do it, and a lot of people go that way. Or you can go the way that I went and buy a designated charger. My charger is a CTEC D250 SA, and I'll chuck a link in the description for you to get one of those if you want. But it's a multi-stage charger, and it works great with AGMs, and it's also got a built-in solar charge controller. So depending on the type of battery you go with, the isolators might not work so well. I know that a lot of different chemistries, different battery chemistries require certain types of charging, and I think that AGMs work better with a multi-stage charger rather than just a straight isolator switch. And also the lithium ones, I think they require an even more specialized charger in some cases. So make sure you check in what sort of charger is going to work with the batteries, because that could also help you decide what sort of batteries to go with. Brand of the batteries can also be important. If you go with a cheaper battery, then you might find that you don't get quite as much power out of them, or they don't last as long. You might have failures more often. I decided to go with really good batteries. These two are Full River, which is an American company. I believe the batteries might be made in China, but the company is well known for making really good quality batteries. And you can often tell the quality of a battery by the weight. So the heavier the battery, generally the higher quality when you're talking lead acid AGM batteries. And these batteries were extremely heavy. I think they were maybe 40 kilos each, maybe a little bit more. And I had a hard time lifting them in here when I installed them. But to give you an idea, these two batteries here weigh as much as I do. And that actually brings me to my next point, which is if you're going to install batteries inside your van, make sure you secure them properly. I've got this strap over the top of mine, and it actually, I'll show you, connects down to the body of the vehicle. There's an eyelet down the bottom you can see, and there's one on the other side as well. So they're really secure in here, and I've also built a timber frame around them so that they don't slide around within that space. And you really want to make sure that you do that when you install these batteries, because if you have an accident and you've got one of these things sliding around in the back, you could do some serious damage with them. Alright guys, I am definitely done for today, but if you want to know anything else, or if you've got any questions, just leave a comment in the comment section below. Leave a like if you got some value from this video, and if you're not subscribed already, then make sure that you do that and tick the notification bell, and that way you'll get all my future videos. And also let me know what you guys want to see from me as well, as far as videos are concerned, because I'm always open to new ideas and suggestions. And like I said before, I would like to try doing some slightly different content in the future. But other than that, I'll see you guys soon. As I was saying before,